The Ethereum ETFs are set to start trading 1 week from today on July 23rd. According to Eric Balchunas, the SEC is finally in line. The S1s will be approved by this week, and we should see these things trading. Does that mean it's time to buy Ethereum? Nobody knows, but we have some ideas. But we're going to talk about that and a lot more with one of my favorite guests today, Dan Roberts, and of course, the boys from Arch Public on the back end. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. You've already done it. I tell you every day. Actually, to be honest, you're probably indifferent and you're sick of hearing it, so you don't do it. That's probably what's actually happening. So screw you guys. Anyways, I've got Dan Roberts here today, and we're going to talk about Ethereum. How are you, Dan?
I'm great, Scott. GM, what's up?
GM. I actually posted a GM tweet this morning for the first time in a long time. I was feeling inspired.
Wow, ETH is back. That's why.
Is it? I guess we will talk about that now. We've got the endless guesses about what's likely to happen when these things get approved. Citibank, 5.4 billion of net inflows in first 6 months. That would be about a third, by the way, of what we've seen with Bitcoin, right? 15 billion. And a lot of people, we've talked about it endlessly here, but based on products in foreign countries, the market share of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, we kind of get this like 20 to 30% guess of what the Ethereum ETFs might do versus Bitcoin. My guess it'll be a little less because we haven't had the educational curve and people are just kind of confused and it happened on a fire sale. But I still think these will be popular products.
Yeah, look, I think it's fascinating to see what happens because you're right. There's the educational curve, not just about how spot ETFs work in this case, but I think Bitcoin versus ETH for the general public. Like, let's remember, who are these products aimed at? These are a way for boomers to get exposure to crypto without having to buy crypto. And so, if we back up a little, there's a huge irony to me in the crypto world excitement over ETFs. Now, obviously, if it pumps the price, great, and that's what people want to see. But the irony is, like, if you go all the way back, and I've been covering this stuff since 2011, this wasn't supposed to be the point. In other words, people said this is going to be outside mainstream markets, outside government control. It's about a separate rails system, get out of the unfair and unjust and dusty old creaky financial rails. And yet now here we are, we're celebrating because there's a mainstream market way to buy exposure to Bitcoin and ETH like it's a stock. And
bro. It's whatever pumps our bags is decentralized future. We know that. Yeah. I literally just listening to you talk about it. I wrote a newsletter this morning, Bitcoin doesn't need heroes. And it's literally, listen, it was like cool that there's some politicians who are like on board. But at the end of the day, that wasn't the point. It's exactly what you're saying. But not only was that not the point, but these situations with the government, they come and go. And Bitcoin's inevitable with or without it. Sure, it helps. I'm not dismissing that having tailwinds instead of headwinds is a good thing. But you make a great point. ETFs are for investors, not for believers. But we need them. It's
so true about politicians come and go. I mean, look at the Gary Gensler era. It's been mostly ruinous, but people are excited about the Trump-Vance ticket, people in crypto, because they think maybe that means, the end of Gensler as SEC chair. And, my thoughts of that is okay, let's say it's someone else. Who knows if that person will automatically be more of a supporter.
For Gensler. Gensler was our boy. People forget that we were he
MIT
blockchain at MIT, man. The guy gets it. He's so pro crypto.
Right.
And Elizabeth Warren dug her little grubby little nails into him. That woman.
The political stuff is also fascinating. I took a peek at your show yesterday. I know you guys talked about the Trump stuff off the top. And, we don't have to spend time talking about this gruesome news from Saturday. And it was obviously insane. And we're living through history. All that said, the crypto people have moved on to, wow, this is the most pro-crypto ticket, Trump and Vance. And look at what they've done. And Vance, is sponsoring a bill that supposedly is going to be even better for crypto than Fit 21. That's all great. But again, just as you say, politicians come and go, presidencies, administrations come and go. And what I always say, again, having been covering this stuff since 2011, how many times have we all heard from people in our lives who are still skeptical? And that's fine. How many times have we heard, well, couldn't this stuff all go to zero tomorrow? And couldn't the whole thing collapse? And you just kind of sigh. It's like, we're still answering this. And so they're still going to say that. In other words, people who want to insist that crypto is either not interesting to them or a fraud or a scam or it's stupid or it's unnecessary, they're still going to say that for another 10 years. But Bitcoin's been around for, 15 years, whatever it's been, and it's going to continue to exist. You're right, separate from pro or anti politicians.
The irony of the ETFs is thick, but I do think it's a net positive in an environment where a lot of people can't access spot Bitcoin. So there is that element of, I want to put Bitcoin in my retirement account and I can't, so I buy it that way. And I do think a lot of people did it for that reason, but those people are now in, right? So it's the future of institutional investment we're going to see. I mean, Larry Fink came out again with some massively favorable comments in the past few days. Did you see that?
I did. I mean, this is, what a sea change from even just like 5 or 6 years ago, where, Jamie Dimon had to eat crow from saying that Bitcoin was like tulip bulbs. I mean, everyone notable and influential is changing their tune. Again, I keep going back to this, but I wouldn't have thought when I first started covering this stuff that the degens and leaders and biggest voices in the room in crypto would be celebrating what Larry Fink and Fidelity and PayPal say. But again, I get it. It's positive for the overall space. Rising tide lifts all boats. But, people who actually are in crypto, if they're going to use this news, if they're going to, buy the rumor and start buying up right now, well, it's not going to be, those aren't the people investing in the ETFs. I mean, those people can just load up on actual Bitcoin and ETH. I always used to say, if you want exposure to Bitcoin, how about buy Bitcoin? But it's like you said, it's not for those people. These products are for people who in a million years, they're not going to go to Coinbase, even the most centralized, easy to use option they have, and create an account, go through the showing their driver's license. It's just too many things. They don't know how to do that.
And you can't do that in your IRA anyways. I do want to, I just wasn't even planning to talk about it, but I have Fink's comments right here. It's pretty astounding. If you want to talk about irony, because first of all, Larry Fink was dismissive of Bitcoin. He's admitted that. Strong opinions, loosely held, as we like to say. Yep. I mean, This is the guy who is behind ESG, which Bitcoiners hated more than probably anything in the entire world, right? The funny thing is that like the anti-mining, Bitcoin bad for the environment narrative, that was championed by Larry Fink policies. Right. So it's kind of a wholesale reversal. But he did say this. I mean, he said it's a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have uncorrelated returns. It's an instrument you invest in when you are more frightened. It is an instrument you invest in when countries are debasing their currency through excess deficits. Bitcoin is an opportunity to invest in something outside your country's control to give you more financial control. I believe there's a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe it will be one of the asset classes we all look at. It is digital gold.
I mean,
one of us.
Ringing endorsement. Now let's focus on one thing there. Saying it's digital gold and it has a place in your portfolio. We've gotten to a point where that's not very controversial. In other words, that's like table stakes, saying there's a place for it in your portfolio. I mean, I've been saying for years, it's possible for certain, old Wall Street types to just say, I believe that it's worth allocating 1 or 2% of your portfolio to this without that equating to rah, this is the future. Bitcoin's going to be the global reserve currency. It's going to replace the dollar. They're just saying it's legitimate and it has a place. 1 to 2%. That's it. So in some ways, it's not like, you say one of us, maybe.
I'm saying one of us in the currency debasement and kind of the reasons. The funny thing is that people forget RIAs also don't recommend gold. Like it's a 60-40 portfolio, not a 60-39-1 portfolio. So it's really getting them off stocks and bonds. That's the problem. Like digital gold doesn't even resonate. What you just said when I talked to the Bitwise guys and everyone who's out on the roadshow, that's the pitch. It's the dude, look at what happens if you add 2%. Your portfolio has gone up every year for the last 2 years, even if Bitcoin goes down because you have an idiosyncratic asset. Amazing, right? And that's going to be the pitch for Ethereum. It's not going to be the decentralized internet. The pitch for Ethereum to RIAs is going to be like, oh, now do 1% Ethereum and look what it does for your returns. Your Sharpe ratio is great.
So wait, let's talk about this because this is an ongoing fascination for me. And this is why I think we won't quite see, I mean, I'm not a financial analyst and, TINFA, this is not financial advice. I don't personally think we'll see quite the same numbers flowing into the ETH ETFs as we did for BTC. If anything, maybe we'll see more people go into the BTC. I think we have actually seen that in the last week in anticipation of both will go up, rising tide. And the reason is, if you do even a little bit of reading and a little bit of self-educating, you start to learn that, okay, there's Bitcoin, that's over here. That's the alpha and the omega, as the former, there was someone years ago at one of our Yahoo Finance conferences who framed it that way. I always think about that. You've got Bitcoin over here, it's digital gold. The sort of thesis for that has already been made. You can not buy into it, fine, but that's the case. Over here, there's ETH. And yes, it has also gone up. And in fact, it's done better, I think, in the last week or two because of this news than Bitcoin has by percentage. But for the most part, the ETH people, the ETH crowd say it's not about digital gold. ETH is going to create this whole world of decentralized apps, dApps, and consumer cases. And I'm here to tell you guys, it's all been interesting, but it's all theoretical. And for the most part, we haven't really seen many or any real legitimate consumer apps running on Ethereum. And for the most part, I think what we've seen is
Tether.
It's just digital gold. Yeah, but okay, right.
Yeah, that doesn't count as an app. But I've long made the argument that stable coins are the killer app.
Yep,
sure. And that's now we do have Polymarket now. We do have Polymarket now, which I guess is on Polygon. Yep. So it's a layer 2. But we're being intellectually honest. Polymarket is just a predictive markets app that you happen to be able to use crypto to bet on. It would be the same. It would be effectively the same platform if you PayPal'd your money in.
And I'd like to see it become widely used for something other than predicting the election. For now, everyone in crypto says Polymarket, oh my God, it's so big. It's been big for one specific use case. After the election, what are people going to use it for? I haven't really seen much activity on using it to predict sports things and other areas. I mean, I believe Polymarket is interesting. I think it's probably, the most interesting of those prediction market options. But for the most part, I mean, I'm talking too about, we were going to see crypto-powered publishing, crypto social, Web3 social media. Remember FriendTech? Buy my keys. And if I own your keys, we can talk to each other in a chat room. It's all just
DM me, dude. Just DM me.
It just goes back to it's a financial asset. For now, that's what crypto is. And that's okay.
Okay, so are there any of these things that are bubbling right now that you think do become killer apps? So like, obviously, we talk about Larry Fink. BUIDL, build, whatever, however we pronounce these things in crypto, 500 million. Okay, drop in the bucket. But it is accruing assets. There's well over $1 billion in tokenized treasuries. Okay, but you can buy treasuries. But like, is RWA? Do we start to like? Am I gonna sell you my house through an NFT or something?
Well, it's funny. You didn't mention you slipped NFTs in at the end there. The NFT stuff. Really kind of, I don't know. We got to stop using the acronym and then maybe it'll take hold again because the very term is so toxic and it's become a punchline. Now, RWAs, that's worth discussing, like, tokenized real estate. Okay. But, there are some folks, mostly crypto VCs, I feel like, who have really pushed like RWAs. And for the most part, there would have to be a sea change in general, people who even have a crypto wallet, people who understand the value prop. I just, if you ask a person who's not already like a mega crypto native degen, would they use that method? Would they invest in something when it's just, when it's a tokenized form? It just, I think, seems like too weird to most people. They can't get there yet. They can't cross that bridge conceptually. So again, it's still early days. Now I do kind of tease when people say, we're still early. We're not that early anymore. But it is, in general, early days for all this other stuff. Like you're not early anymore if you're just buying Bitcoin and ETH now. But it's still early for things like tokenized assets, RWAs, stables, a separate kind of Rails system. It's going to take years.
Okay, so I agree that these are the hype terms for things that will happen in 5 to 10 years, just like DeFi
maybe 10
summer,
to 15.
Still not there. NFTs on Saturday Night Live, still not there, right? A cycle later. But do any of those things really get there this cycle? I mean, I've seen some legitimate AAA level games coming out now that have at least a crypto element.
Yes.
So maybe gaming is ready for some level of mainstream adoption.
Yep.
Although people are only going to do it if the game's cool. They shouldn't care about the crypto side.
Yes, 100%. And in fact, I think that was the mistake, having been editor-in-chief of Decrypt for 2.5 years, when we would try and do kind of gaming coverage. I mean, every day we had pitches coming in, our game. And it's like, all you'd have to do is lift the hood a little bit to discover there wasn't much of a game yet, but we're going to build it out. Or we've got a metaverse landscape, a metaverse realm. But what can you do in there? Well, for now, you can walk around and chat with other people, and it's powered by blockchain. So I'm with you that, the crypto games that will work are the ones where it's a cool game. So here's what I keep thinking of. If you remember, at the beginning of the pandemic, Animal Crossing, and I think it was the sequel, it was like Animal Crossing 2, blew up big time. And people were basically living inside Animal Crossing. Now, that wasn't a crypto game per se, but it was a metaverse realm, arguably. I'm always surprised when people don't mention it as an example, in which you lived a whole world. Now, if we want to go, you and I are a little older. If we go back decades, Half-Life, right? Or no, Second Life.
Second Life, yeah.
That was a metaverse. Even The Sims, arguably, was a metaverse game. And there were in-game items, whether it's an outfit, a helmet, your bike, skins, whatever. I know Fortnite is one people use. I'm too old to have played that and too young to have a kid who's old enough that I've played it. So I don't know Fortnite. But point being, it'll be things like that, I think. Now, again, let's not call them NFTs. Let's just call them in-game items, digital items. I think totally those will take off, and there are a few examples. But I don't think it's going to be like blockchain-powered metaverse realms. I know people say Decentraland, the Sandbox.
Remember when people were paying millions of dollars to live next to Snoop? And
oh my God, I mean, that was a moment captured. You're right. We had a great headline on that. That was like one of the biggest clickers we've ever had, and I think it was Kate Irwin, who was our gaming reporter. She has since gone to PC Mag. She wrote the story, and the headline was like, "Man pays $350K to live next to Snoop in the Sandbox." Oh my God.
Cheap deal. I wonder, I mean, I don't know, but I wonder what that $350K is worth currently. Like
$450K. Oh.
Okay. Do you think that plot is worth more than $450?
Is it worth more than $50?
I'm just saying, like, is there a market for it? I don't even know. I haven't looked. I'm not, as much as I would love to say I'm just being sarcastic, I literally have no idea, because I haven't heard someone even. Okay, so NFTs, I still hear people talk about Bored Apes and talk about punks, and there's some value. It happens. Punks, yeah. I don't hear anybody talking about land in the metaverse, and it's been years. Right.
100%. I mean, even Bored Apes, like, and I shouldn't run my mouth. I'm not up to speed on the current value. I know they haven't like plummeted precipitously and they're still worth something. But any of those celebrities, I mean, didn't Justin Bieber pay like $1 million for his?
I think $2. Yeah, maybe $1 million. But some of them paid $2. But there was like that was another, talk about a moment in time. There was like some agency, I can't remember the name, that effectively was facilitating the difficult purchase of a Bored Ape for celebrities.
Yeah.
And they were like paying like 50 times market to do it. Like,
great business.
Bieber could have gotten that in for probably like $200K.
Yep. The smart businesses were the ones that jumped on that shit. Oh, excuse me. That jumped on that stuff immediately and didn't. Okay, good. They jumped on that shit, and it didn't take them long to set up. The other ones were like, we're building out an NFT power, and it's like, man, you better get to market. You better get to market right now, because it was just so obvious that this mania would not last more than a year. I mean, 2021 was crazy.
I mean, if you were still, running Decrypt, how would you be covering all of this political insanity in the United States? You just have to do at least 5 minutes of politics on every show now, because it really is driving things.
Good question. And I can't talk much about it, but I am actually returning to media soon. We haven't announced yet, but I'm taking a new job in media after doing a year inside a crypto VC fund. So a couple of thoughts there. And
wait, you didn't last more than a year to crypto? Okay,
I did 1 year. Yeah, it was educational. It was interesting. It was educational. We'll leave it there. But, I'll go back to when I was back at Yahoo Finance, and my main things were crypto and sports business, and a mega story that just, it was like off the charts traffic. The interest was insane, was Trump and the NFL and the Kaepernick protests, Trump tweeting about it, Trump saying, I don't like this, don't disrespect the flag. I mean, it was the story that kept on giving. And so the only reason I bring that up is like, man, if I were at a crypto news site right now, my philosophy would be like, hit it and hit it and hit it again. Every single incremental update is worth a story. And I think some places know that. Other places, sometimes you see a philosophy of like, well, we wrote about that last week. It's like, man, write it again. One of my old saws as a newsroom leader is like, don't assume anyone saw your story on it last time. If there's an update, even if it's just, JD Vance said another interesting thing about crypto today on Squawk Box, write it up, because the appetite is huge and insatiable. And not only that, it's not even, it's a real story. It's not even an example of clickbait. Like, it's not like when everyone was covering Elon and Dogecoin every damn day. And boy, did that, bring in the traffic.
Yeah, and that was
important.
nothing. This actually means something.
This actually means something. And again, I will say my big caveat to all that is I'm still not even convinced that Trump, if he gets reelected, will necessarily be the huge friend of crypto that everyone thinks, because he wasn't in his first term as president. I mean, let's remember, for his first 3 years as president, the only thing Trump had ever said about Bitcoin was a tweet that Scaramucci said, the financial Steve Mnuchin actually wrote. And the tweet was, I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other digital currencies because I like the dollar and I believe in a strong dollar. Now he has pivoted because he sees the political capital value in saying, go crypto. And I do think, no joke, that people have that one guy to thank who got into the NFT event by holding the Trump NFT and said, what are you going to do about Gensler and Biden and Warren who have been anti-crypto? And Trump saw an opportunity.
Listen, the second he saw how like the crowd reacted, he's obviously a deft, a deft marketer, and he understands the sort of zeitgeist of humanity and does an exceptionally good job of grabbing onto things. That said, like JD Vance owns up to $250,000 of Bitcoin for years. At least he had to give that in his public Ohio. We know Vivek is close to him. We know now that David Bailey from the Bitcoin conference is in Trump's ear. We know Ryan Selkis is. I mean, it may have started. I have no idea, dude. I don't believe any politician, anything they say. No offense to the people in the comments who love them. Like whatever.
Let's see when they take off.
Just how I am. Like, do what I want to wait and see it happen. So I'm going to just have my doubts for any politician until I see policy. Like, I don't believe in the Biden thaw because he vetoed SAB 121.
Yep.
Right. So like, show me the money.
Well, and it was a follow instead of lead. In other words, Trump went, rah crypto, and the crypto people celebrated and said, we're going to we're one issue voters and we're going to vote based on crypto. And the Biden stuff was just a follow on that. Do I believe that if Biden gets reelected, suddenly he'll be pro Bitcoin and ease up regulations? No. Yeah,
neither do I. But I do think there's an off chance that we would at least see Gensler gone because he's become so unpalatable for the Democrats, and that could be a net positive. Although they're bringing Carolyn Crenshaw, but I mean, they're not doing anything. Honestly, this is the election. I'm going to tell you, this is the election. I've been saying it here a lot, but that matters, right? Ripple donates $1 million to unseat Warren. Winklevoss twins donate to pro Trump super PAC. You guys might not know, but James Murphy, Meta Lawman, who's on this show all the time, has a super PAC set up for John Deaton to beat Elizabeth Warren, and Ripple Labs donated $1 million. So that's huge, because the first reporting was that Deaton had raised 1.4 million, but $1 million of it was his own. So $1 million for him against Warren should open a lot of people's eyes, because getting rid of Elizabeth Warren, who actually is a functioning, thinking human person who's actually anti-crypto, could affect White House policy more than even who's in the White House.
So this is really interesting. I'm literally looking through my likes, which are now private, to try to find the tweet. But the other day, Politico wrote a story, and it was like, about, crypto affecting politics and that people in DC are concerned about this. And someone else retweeted it. And it was so on point. Someone said, okay, so we've gone from, dismiss it as a fraud and a scam to, it could impact elections and it's too powerful. It's like, so the people, outside crypto still aren't quite sure what narrative they want to settle on for making it a boogeyman. Is it that it's bad for the environment? What happened to that? Well, by the way, it turns out AI is also really bad and uses a lot of electricity.
And it turns out Bitcoin miners are all just going to become AI data centers anyway. So,
right. So what do you say about that? And then it was, it's influencing innocent people to lose their shirts. They invested in Genesis and whatever the other one that went down that was too good to be true.
FTX, Voyager, name your poison, buddy. Yeah.
And now it's, we're going to have tarnished politicians because crypto money is getting in and putting people in office. So, it's in a way, it's progress.
It's like the wheel of FUD.
Yeah.
In past, you just spin it and you wait and see which one it lands on. Then Elizabeth Warren gives a speech.
It's all interesting, though. I mean, it's sort of like, I know it gets so played out, and I used to roll my eyes at this, but there's people love to tweet that thing. First they dismiss you, first they ignore you, then they actively dismiss you and insult you, and then they try to stop you. And it's like, yeah, I mean, they're not
And they
ignoring
fight you,
it.
then you win.
Yes, that's what it is.
Feels like we're winning. And a year ago, it didn't. Felt like they were just fighting us a lot.
Well, and yet, okay, so you asked me about if I were still running a crypto news site. I'll do one more sort of, dorky journalist media comment, and that is that even though so you say it feels like we're winning, okay, look at the price, look at the momentum, the markets, the ETF, okay. But I would actually say that in terms of just narratives outside of crypto space, the media narratives, I haven't seen that much change. In other words, like big legacy news sites just don't think crypto is worth their time, and they don't think it's interesting. And I feel like they all hope it'll just go away. And it's like annoying to people that it hasn't.
I've basically describes me my entire life with any social group I was ever in. So it's perfect. See why I've gripped onto Bitcoin so much, because it's so familiar. That's just that annoying guy. He just won't go away, but he's in the group. Right. I don't know why. Dan, any final thoughts before I let you go? And when are you making this announcement? The big new
very soon, like next week. So give me a week, check back. I will always be interested in what happens with crypto. I think it's fascinating. That's why I first started writing about it in 2011. I was just like, this is one of the most interesting things happening in finance and tech. I still feel that's the case. I guess my parting thought would be like, I've always said, and even though people don't want to hear about it because usually it's negative or maybe it seems dry, regulation and the government and its effect on crypto and its relation to crypto has always been and continues to be the most interesting factor and the most important story. And look at the fact that here we are talking about what, the current presidential candidates think about crypto. It hasn't gone away. Like, let's see what happens with regulation, but let's really make sure that we leave people with the thought that you and I said right off the bat, which is whatever happens, it's not going to last forever. If it's a pro-crypto president for 4 years, okay, but let's see what happens after those 4 years. If it's another crypto will weather it.
You get the policy you want, then they get rid of the policy, then they change policy, then it comes back. And that's what it is. There's one comment I need to read to you because it's so good before I let you go. I logged out of Second Life for like 2 years one time, and literally all the land around me got turned into a mall, and my house was stuck in the middle of like a courtyard. And the land developers were losing their shit. They could not contact me.
Love that. I love that.
Good.
Well, there's no guarantee that your neighbor is actually going to live in their house or ever show up again in the metaverse.
What happens when Snoop moves out? You go from being worth $45 to $4.5.
Oh my God, you think Snoop is logged into that thing in 4 years? 3 years?
But his son's still around in the industry pretty heavily. So, I guess we'll see. Dan, man, thank you so much. And for dealing with my little technical issues at the beginning that you guys missed.
My pleasure. Man. Great talking.
Have a good one. See you soon. All right. Now, it's time for One Beard. We're going One Beard today, Andrew. One of our three regular beards. Just before we get into it, we got Bitcoin dips below 63K as Mt. Gox moves 2.8 billion Bitcoin to internal wallet. Seems that they've moved a bunch of coins over to Kraken now, and we're gonna start seeing these disbursements. So, was that the reason for the great bear market of this morning?
The great bear market of 6:15 a.m. Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday, you have Larry Fink on all the business channels saying that Bitcoin is a legitimate financial instrument. That's game, set, and match. Oh, by the way, what if that guy that bought that stupid piece of Meadowland for 400 grand had just put that money into Bitcoin back then? How would he be feeling today?
Yeah, but he can't live in his Bitcoin.
He can't live in his Bitcoin. That's true. You make a good point there. The headwinds, I listened to your previous guest, and he's got a long and storied history in media and a great guy. I disagree with the reality, the reality that, out there in media, they just want crypto to go away. Again, you and I both know there's a difference between crypto and Bitcoin. There always has been, there always will be. Bitcoin is a brand, much like Kleenex. Bitcoin is well known, will continue to be well known, and will continue to be accepted on a higher and higher and higher and higher level. And there's not a bad time to buy the dip. There never has been. And when you have a dip from 72 down to 55, and what happens right after the 4th of July holiday and somebody's finished with their Montauk vacation, he ends up on the news channels. He ends up on the financial news channels talking about his bag, right? Larry Fink saying Bitcoin is here to stay. You guys may have questioned it. I questioned it back in 2017, just like Trump did.
Apparently he was questioning it till 2022,
Right.
late 2022, according to Scaramucci. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, shifted, created product around it. And when that guy creates product around something, it's not just I'm goofing off here. It's a long-term play where not only that product will turn into another, turn into another, turn into another, turn into another. There will be derivatives, there'll be options, there'll be lots of ways to get your hands on Bitcoin as an asset. And so I'm hearing a couple of things. There are changes to the political landscape. We know that. That's very obvious to everybody. Something everybody's talking about. That's going to have ripple effects. That's going to have ripple effects down to wealth management organizations.
Did you just say by Ripple?
No, I did not say by Ripple by any stretch of the imagination. I've never bought Ripple and never will buy Ripple. I don't. My brain wants to be a degen and say what Ripple rhymes with, but I'm not going to do that here on this particular call.
The password is nipple. Yeah.
So, but from a political standpoint, that has ripple effects down the line, down the financial line, and I think we're going to see some headlines with Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley here either end of the month or early August. There's going to be some adjustments to their internal policy. You can't have meaningful adjustments in the narrative and have political movements that are very, very well funded, right? So the pro crypto pack is extremely well funded. And so you can't have those movements and then ignore them to the tune of not giving high net worth individuals access to Bitcoin ETFs. That's not a tenable position. So there'll be adjustments. I put a tweet out that was somewhat nebulous about 5 minutes ago. Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley are moving up their timeline. So that also tracks with Larry Fink spending time again on the shows yesterday and talking about the virtues of Bitcoin. And then, of course, Ethereum ETFs looking like they're coming online next week or the week after. Breathlessly waiting for those to make an appearance. I've said all along that it would take longer for those to happen than it probably should. And that's the case because, Gensler's gritting his teeth and allowing it to happen. So, interesting stuff going on in the world of that we spend time in, no question.
So speaking of Bitcoin, I have an amazing tweet from you guys at Arch Public here that's worth discussing. Arch Public is a Bitcoin company, undeniably. To that end, we'll be announcing a Bitcoin algorithm at the Bitcoin conference next week. Guys, if you're coming to the Bitcoin conference, you can hang out with Andrew and I at the same time in person. A product that is unlike anything currently available in the market: access, speed, versatility, accelerate Bitcoin. So first, I want to just give people an update. You always ask. The $10,000 portfolio we've been trading is up 27%. It's currently sitting at $12,700. Amazing. You guys have a new NASDAQ product that's taken 3 trades.
Yes, that's correct.
All winners. No losses. Undefeated. Right now.
That's right. We released that product about 3 weeks ago. It's taken 4 trades, and it's in one right now that have all been positive. Some have been positive to the tune of plus 3%, a couple 1.5%. Yesterday, just a smidge under 1%. And again, I come back to this concept, right? Our products are focused on liquidity and risk mitigation, and then performance comes from that patience. And so if you think about it, whenever our algorithms don't take trades, the positive outcome there is you're not losing money, right? You're not losing money when they don't take bad setups. So when they do take setups, more often than not, you're making money. So, we continue to add products to our shelves. The idea is, and we've believed this for 4 years, there is no silver bullet when it comes to an algorithm that makes you money. Has never existed, will never exist. And that's why institutions use all different kinds of algorithms for all different reasons. We want to do the same. We want to stock our shelves like a grocery store and give you lots of opportunity to choose. To that end, our Bitcoin algorithm, we're going to launch initially, and we're going to have several levels to this. The initial level is, this is an algorithm that's not going to ask you to deposit a certain amount of capital into your account right off the bat. You'll be able to use this algorithm with as little as $200, $300, $500.
There's people in the comments who are going to love that.
Yes. And so this algorithm is effectively going to be a dollar cost averaging tool into a Bitcoin ETF. We had a long conversation with Bitwise last week. And so, there's going to be information that comes out about that and our involvement with them. The ability to buy something down to every 30 seconds, every 1 minute, every 2 minutes, that doesn't exist, by the way, at Coinbase, right? You can dollar cost average into Bitcoin on Coinbase once a day, right? You can do that. You can do that on, Cash App. You can't dollar cost average every 3 minutes, every 10 minutes into Bitcoin in a meaningful way anywhere else. And here's the other thing that the Bitwise guys brought up to us. The ability to dollar cost average on a daily basis on Coinbase is expensive.
Very.
It's expensive to do that. The fees associated with dollar cost averaging with our tool are pennies on the dollar compared to doing it at a Coinbase. So the value associated with what we're bringing and going to announce at the Bitcoin conference, we're going to do a press release. Oh, by the way, we're having a dinner with some VIPs, and Scott being a chief among those VIPs at the Bitcoin conference on the 25th.
I'm a very important person.
Yes. So, if you want to spend time with us, and meaningful time with us, FaceTime with us, have dinner with us, we have 12 spots available for that dinner at Kane Prime in Nashville. Look it up. It's good stuff. I'm a Kane Prime fan. Reach out to us. We'd love to have you.
Hey guys, the real kicker is I'm bringing my wife. People don't want to meet me when we go anywhere. They just they're like, "Hey Scott, you're great," and then they ask every time I go to a conference now. They're like, "Is Emmy here?" Annoying. It's really annoying. Like,
well,
she's really a lot more fun than you. I'm like, yeah. You stand in the corner and you look at your phone sometimes, and like she's out there on the dance floor partying with us.
Yeah, she's more interesting and she's angrier generally. Right. And that works for crypto. Right. I mean, that works for this space. So, we'll have a great time in Nashville. And by the way, we Arch Public, our firm, may have another event or two. Again, that will be small, but people will enjoy. Tillman lived in Nashville for almost 20 years. So, he knows all the spots, the people, and some of the inside scoop on where
it's going to be out of control in that town.
Oh yeah,
it was already going to be in. First of all, like this conference is a bit big for Nashville, and if they get like bull market numbers, like Miami probably could absorb it a little better.
Yeah.
And then you had Trump.
So a little bit of behind the scenes with the Bitcoin conference, folks, because we've been going to this for years. And oh, by the way, we're sponsors. Arch Public is this year. We're sponsors at the conference. They're not doing it again in Nashville. They can't. They can't. They did it this year in Nashville.
That's where they're based. They wanted to get out of Miami. Yeah.
Yeah. They've already told us we're not. This is the only time we're doing it in Nashville next year. We're not going to announce it yet, but the venue for the next 2 years has already been chosen, and it ain't Nashville. Right. So, but Nashville's
going to be too big. I mean, next year, the like 20, I guess it's every 4 years. So the 21 was 21, the conference, either 21 or 22, but was so insanely out of control. It was like
22
trying to navigate.
22.
It was trying to like when it moved. It was like trying to navigate like a crowded terminal on Memorial Day in JFK if you didn't speak English. I mean, We had scheduling to like go do interviews, and it would take us like we were back to back like on the half hour. It was like, oh, that's 15 minutes away walking through the crowd.
Yeah, that there were 35,000 people there in 22. In 21, there was like 14,000.
Yeah.
And it was in 2 different spots in Miami in 21 and 22. 21, it was in like Wedgwood or something, or I forget what it's called. But more
Wynwood.
art.
It was in Mana Wynwood.
Yeah, like an artsy, an art-focused space, and then it moved to a real convention center in 22, and it had to because it was so big.
My last DJ gig that I ever publicly did before like my official retirement was at Mana Wynwood in Miami with 2 Chainz for the Barcelona Manchester game, something that they were doing there. Bayern Munich, Barcelona game. I played soccer with a bunch of Bayern Munich dudes. It was awesome.
Oh, cool.
And then I DJ'd, and that was it. And then the first thing I ever like really did big in crypto, or like really big, was the conference at Mana Wynwood. I was like, wow, my life really just tied back up. That I'm back here for a crypto conference after like my last DJ gig was here.
Yeah, Miami's a great spot to do it. It's just July in Miami, not optimal, right?
Yeah. People forget the conference used to be a little bit earlier, but it's going to be hot.
And to be fair, July in Nashville, not optimal.
Say pretty brutal,
but it's going to all be inside. It's in the convention center, so it'll be fine. Yeah.
So I want to be like, a conversation worth having just about Arch Public. Like we have had a few people that are like, wow, it's like really expensive. It's for higher net worth individuals. That is the case, right? And I'm going to tell you guys, like, my audience tends to be more like we're kind of the older established. I'm not saying that you're not, everyone's welcome, but I think a lot of channels have like 21-year-old kids flipping meme coins, and I think we here to a degree have a lot of adults with portfolios who are looking to add to it and whatever. This product has largely been for those people. It's expensive, but it pays for itself very quickly, and you need to have some capital to do it. You can't run it with $1,000. But now, being conscious of that, we've discussed the fact that you're adding things.
Yeah, we're adding things. We now have 5 different tiers that people can engage with. Our $99 tier, effectively you have to have 10 grand to to be able to engage with that product. But our Bitcoin,
we are cognizant that that's a lot of money, guys.
Yeah, we are. No question. And that, but we have constructed our Bitcoin product so that you don't have to have a certain amount of capital. Now, you're still going to have to purchase the product, right? There's going to be a price for the Bitcoin DCA product because it's going to be first and best in class. You're not going to be able to do with our product on any other platform. It's going to be a remarkable tool, but at the same time, you don't have to have 10 grand to be able to run that product. So entry-level product, a Bitcoin product. We've got another product that's our Atlas product that's underneath our concierge program. Then we have 3 levels of our concierge program that people enjoy. And, some of the benefits of the concierge program, we have the quarterly events. Our last event was in Aspen, Colorado. This event will be at the Bitcoin conference with some guy named Scott Melker and a couple other things. So, a lot of benefits to being involved with our ecosystem.
Yeah, it's awesome. So guys, it's in the description, but thearchpublic.com. I know so many of you have checked it out. Haven't found anyone who's unhappy yet. Besides, we've had quite a few people who said, I wish I could get it, sure. and we are totally cognizant of that, like I said, and aware of it. You'll be there soon. It's a bull market. Don't worry. But you should check it out at thearchpublic.com. Like really, listen, man, I've tried to be very conscious of the things I even mention on this show at this point. It's very hard. And, you never, this is one where I have zero doubt that it's beneficial for everyone. I haven't seen anything bad. So, I think I'm enjoying using it. I'm making a ton of money. Like you can't really.
Well, think about it this way in terms of our Bitcoin product that we're about to release. Our Bitcoin product is not necessarily going to be associated with the performance of the algo. The algo is going to buy you Bitcoin in intervals that you want to buy it in, down to very, very small increments. So that algo is going to be focused on the performance of Bitcoin. And oh, by the way, the performance of Bitcoin, no matter when you've bought it over the last 10 years, you've done exceptionally well, right? So that product we think is going to be the kind of thing where, we're going to remove the idea of, great product and use it and nobody said anything bad about it. Those disclaimers are going to go away. Like, this is going to be a unique tool that's going to be focused on the performance of Bitcoin itself.
So you guys are going to, since you're a sponsor, we're going to have a booth. We'll be hanging out there too. For the people who can't come to dinner, maybe in advance, we'll schedule like a time that I can make sure that I'm there, and
absolutely
come give us a high five and stuff. In the comments, I never asked you guys for like feedback in the comments. Are any of you going to Nashville? Are we like screaming at a wall here?
Mm-hmm.
Who in the comments over there is going to be in Nashville and wants to come meet us? So you and Tillman will be there the entire time.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's gonna be awesome.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Nashville for other reasons. I'm a single gentleman, so fill in the blanks there. Nashville is a decent place to hang out.
I'm no longer bringing Emmy to dinner.
Like to have a decent time on Fridays and Saturdays. Nashville is a great place to be.
JK will be there.
If you are coming to Nashville, by the way, please, for the love of God, stay away from Broadway. Broadway, it's not. They're going to tell you it's a cool place to hang.
That's like the 6th Street. That's like the Austin 6th Street equivalent, right? Basically, like shitty Mardi Gras.
Yeah, don't do it. Just don't do it. There are other spots to go. Yeah, just hit me up, DM me. I'll tell you where to go and the places to be. There's a lot better spots to be than Broadway.
On X, he's AP_abacus. You're still sort of low-key shadow banned, dude. Anytime I try to tag you, I have to type in your whole name and you don't come up in the search.
How do you deal with that? What's the deal with that? I've been for a while.
It's very weird. Like, I cannot search you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Larry Fink doesn't want me to talk about it.
I try to tag you all the time, and I'm like, let me remember. It's like having to remember a phone number in the 80s. It's like,
you're right. It probably was associated with Larry Kink versus Larry Fink. I mean, that's probably
Larry Kink.
Yeah.
Seth will be there. We're gonna see Seth.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, guys, again, thearchpublic.com, cannot recommend it enough. They have the funniest sign-in, by the way, for their newsletter. Navigating the markets. Get the guide. I prefer being mediocre.
Yeah, that's a free giveaway that we do for folks. It's a 90-page dossier associated with trading and emotions and the right way to do things. Of course, focused on the fact that you don't know what you're doing. If you're doing it by yourself, use our products. So,
yeah. So read the 90 pages or be mediocre. It is what it is. I don't make the rules. I make the rules. And also, if I learned one thing from today's show, it was that you should apparently you need to buy Ripple.
No. God, no. Don't. When Tillman gets back on here in a couple of weeks,
oh my God, I'm going to tell him to buy Ripple. He'll love that.
No. He's owned some Ripple. He's owned some Ripple.
He has at some point.
Yeah, he owned it at the wrong time. Let's say that
is Ripple. Some guys got I did see that we have some people that got the cable guy reference, which was good.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, that's all we got for you today. We have to go on with our lives next week. I'll see you next week, but we'll be here. But then when I'll be in Nashville Wednesday, so
you got it. All right, man.
See you there, man. Thank you guys for listening. Always a pleasure. Check out thearchpublic.com. Later.